Hi beautiful souls, it's Tan here again today with another video on this channel for you. Today we're going to be talking about human design, projectors, and how to manifest something in your life as a projector. And I'm super excited to be talking about this because I myself am a projector and I have found manifestation to be very interesting and to work kind of like for projectors. There's like a specific way designed for you with regards to how you're going to manifest that's going to differ from the other types. And so yeah, let's talk about this. I have made an introduction video, by the way, to human design and the different types and just how to read your human design body graph if you're not familiar with it. So I'll post a link to those videos up there and in the description box below. So if you'd like to get a more basic understanding, you can watch that video and then come back and watch this one. So there's a couple of things that you have to consider as a projector when you are going to manifest. And the first is going to be the throat center. In human design, manifestation comes through the throat. All energy flow in the body is trying to make its way out through the throat, which is the center of manifestation and mainly communication, because in order to manifest something in the world, you have to be able to communicate, network with other people in that sense. Market, do sales and public relations and promotions and things, so it's coming through the throat. That's going to be the first thing that we're going to talk about. So there's going to be two different way that this energy center works. You're either going to have a defined throat, meaning it's colored in, or you're going to have an open throat, means that it's not colored in, it's white. So if you are a projector, you're not going to have an energy center in your body connected to this throat, meaning that you're not going to have a direct connection from the solar plexus, the will, the sacral, or the root directly to the throat. Meaning that whether the throat is defined or undefined, when you're trying to speak or when you're trying to communicate or promote or market, sell something, there's no direct energy to that. And this is important because when you don't have a direct energy to it and you're out there, in the world where 70% of the population are manifesting generator types, meaning that they have, or even manifestor types, meaning that they're going to have their sacral colored in, or they're going to have a connection from an energy center to the throat. Their energy can easily overwhelm yours, which can lead to like power struggles or authority, issues and things like that. So that generally is not conducive to manifestation. So think about it like this, like as a projector, you have some kind of skill. You have a skill, you have a gift, a deep gift in there, but you just don't have the energy for it. That's just how the way your body's made up. It's kind of like a very skilled, talented football player. And the football player goes out into the field and he's kicking that ball, aiming straight for the goal, and it's the shot is just perfect. It's straight for the goal. It's going there. But when he kicks the ball, there's no energy. So the ball is like rolling across the floor. It almost makes it to the goal, but it stops and it doesn't quite get there. So as a projector, when you're initiating or you're starting something without first being invited to do so, which is your strategy of the projector is to be invited, that can be like what happens. The energy is almost there, but it's not. And when you're around a bunch of generators who have energy, and like practically when this happens, it can mean that when you're speaking, your voice may either be very low. They may not have that field of like strength that's coming from the voice. I'm not sure if I'm using the right words here, but you may sound like this when you speak. It may come off like this as a little bit like low voice. That's the first thing that can happen, which causes the other types, which if they're generators, they're going to be like, we can't really hear you. All right, moving on. Or it may be that as you begin to speak or communicate, to make things happen, you may stutter a little bit. You may be disorganized in your speech, and it may come like up, like what's up, what it's up, like that. And when that happens, the other, kind of generator types who have more energy, they're going to be kind of like, I'm not really sure what you're trying to say here. We're running out of time. Moving on. Or the last thing that can happen is that when you speak, without being first invited, when you're trying to initiate, you may sound demanding. You may have a very loud voice. You may speak very loudly because you're trying to push the energy out, and you're trying to compromise for that, lack of energy by coming off very strongly, which can make the people around you, especially their generator types, to feel like, I don't like to be told what to do. I don't like to be forced into something. This is a little bit aggressive. I'm gonna move on. So that's what happens when, as a projector without energy and not being invited first or trying to initiate something. Okay, so if you are a projector with a defined throat, the channels that directly connects to your defined throat is the key to your manifestation. It means that you can actually, manifest from those throats, and it's actually quite easy. It's not as difficult as you may think, but you have to find yourself a platform to display your gifts and your skills with regards to those particular defined channels that are directly connected to the throat, where people can see your genius, they can see your creativity, they can see your ideas, and then they are coming to you and are attracted to you or inviting you to share that gift. And when the floor is open, they're giving space for you to communicate or to manifest. You no longer have to push through that energy out into the world. It's like that football player who's about to kick and everybody sees that he's very skilled. They move the goal a little towards him so that he can kick directly straight into that goal, kind of like that. So you want to have that space where you can do that. So now I want to talk a little bit briefly about the different channels that are going to be connected to the throat if you are a projector with a defined throat, and how to work to manifest from those channels. So there's going to be 3 centers that are going to be connected to the throat that are not energy centers. That is going to be the Ajna, connected to the throat, the G center, or the identity, the self, connected to the throat, and the spleen, connected to the throat. And these centers are not energy centers, so they're projected. So these channels are going to be projected channels. They have to be weighted to be invited, and I'll tell you why. So let's talk about channels from the G center first. The G center is the self, right? It's the soul. So whatever channel that you have from the G center to the throat, you're manifesting or you're speaking, you're creating directly from the soul. And when that happens, there can be feelings of fear and criticism, because what you're saying and what you're speaking is from the soul. It can hurt you, and if there's any criticisms, it can kind of be a little bit personal, right? So if you're a projector with a 1-8, this is called the channel of inspiration. It's a Taurus-Scorpio channel. The 1 is Scorpio, the 8 is a Taurus. And it's called the channel of inspiration because whatever you're creating from this channel, it's very original because it is coming from your soul. So everybody's got their own soul. We've got millions and billions of souls here. If you have this channel, you can access that soul center and create something, speak something from that soul. So when you're doing that, if you haven't been invited to do it, the people who see your work or they listen to you, they're not gonna get it. So you have to wait for that soul alignment to happen. You have to wait for somebody to feel like they can see your soul. They have something in their soul that they would like to connect with you at this very soulful level. And then they're saying, hey, show me your creativity, show me what you got. And they're gonna get your originality because it's like this soul meeting up. That kind of made sense? So that's why this channel has to be waiting for the invitation. It's not a channel that can just immediately go out there and try to start and put their creativity or speak without first being asked for it. But if you can wait for the invitation, you're somebody who's going to touch people at their soul with your creativity. That's the gift here. So you need to be able to find that platform. Okay, so the next channel, let's talk about the channel 731. This channel is called the channel of the Alpha. Both of these gates are Leo gates in astrology. So of course, this particular channel has the ability to give direction. When you speak, your voice can be authoritative, but there's going to be a lot of insight there with regards to guiding other people or letting the society or collective know how to move next for the benefit or for progress. But of course, the thing about having this kind of very authoritative, direction giving channel is that if you're not being asked for the direction, for the advice, it can make you sound bossy, because it's going to make it in a world where there's a lot of value placed on democracy. And if you're speaking from this channel without first being asked, then it can make people perceive you as being a bit of a dictator. So that's why when you are, however, put in a position of leadership or being seen by other people as, worthy of them coming for certain guidance, then you can really use this gift. But at the same time, sometimes this gift is, practically and literally about democracy, meaning that people have to choose you first to be in a position of leadership, and then you're going to be given the space to share, to use your gifts. So that is why this is a projected channel. The next channel that we want to talk about is the 1333. This is called the channel of the prodigal. It is a Leo Aquarius channel, the 33 being the Leo, the 13 being the Aquarius. And this channel has the ability to speak about the tales of your life, speak to other people from your own past experiences. Sometimes it's a channel of, being able to write your own autobiography, by the way. But the thing about this channel is, if you speak without first being invited, it can make you sound like you are self-absorbed, or it can make you sound like you're narrow-minded in your perceptions, because you're speaking from your own experience, if you see what I mean. And you're trying to put your experience, to help other people or to guide other people, and it's going to feel like, this is not my experience, this is about you. Why are you talking about yourself when you're guiding me? It can feel a little bit like that. The gift of this channel, first of all, is to, of course, if you're invited to speak, and if you speak in a way where you are connecting archetypes, your archetypes with the other person's archetypes in this like humanitarian collective understanding, then they're gonna feel that you really understand them, you really empathize with them. Other people can feel this way. Or the other way to use this channel is to be a listener. Simply by listening to other people's experiences, you can heal them. And maybe just to listen doesn't even need the invitation to do so. But yeah, that's the gift of this channel. That's why it has to be invited first. That's why there's no energy there. And the last channel is going to be the 2010. The 10 being a Sagittarius gate, the 20 being another Gemini gate. This is the channel of awakening. This particular channel, it's not a logical or rational experience that you may have, but it's just an awakening that you can have with regards to self-love, how to love yourself and how to empower yourself into self-love. But again, it has to be invited to speak or to manifest, because if not, and you have the ability to empower other people into self-love, right? But you can imagine if you go to somebody and you say, this is what you can do to love yourself more. The other person, and if they haven't asked for your advice, they're going to immediately feel like, are you saying I don't love myself? Do I not love myself? What? And instead of empowering them into self-love, you may generate within the other person a sense of lowering their self-love, lowering their self-esteem, disempowering them in that sense. So therefore, you have to be invited in order to share your gift of truly understanding what it means to love the self. Okay, so now let's talk about the channels from the Ajna connected to the throat. So the Ajna is an awareness center in human design, meaning that the Ajna has some kind of awareness about something. It sees patterns and concepts of things that already exist and wants to communicate that. And so when you're trying to bring in a new awareness, whichever channel you have, there's always going to be a chance that people are going to reject that because what you're bringing in is completely new. Okay, it's like this is going to be another analogy here. It's like you say, I have a new color. This new color is called samba color, and it's new. It's awareness that you have that there is a new color. But if people, they have never seen this color before, they're not going to connect with you, and it's going to sound really weird if you're communicating from the ajna to the throat in that sense. So, but if people are aware that, okay, there's a new color in the world, and they say to you, do you know what this new color is? They're inviting you to share your awareness of the new color. Then you begin to say, there's a new color and it's called samba. Oh, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so the first channel we're going to talk about is a 2343. This is another Taurus Scorpio channel, 43 being the Scorpio, 23 being the Taurus. And this channel is called the channel of structuring. It's about breaking down concepts that you have received through your insights, breaking that down into understandable chunks and understandable sentences or structures or writing or visualization for other people. So this channel is bringing in an awareness of new forms, new values, basically. When you're trying to bring in a new values system into the world, and you're not being asked to share those values, or you are not able to break down into understandable chunks that can be explained to other people, this particular channel can make things really that's why this channel is called the Genius to Freak, because it can make things sound really freaky. It's a really how do I say, like a prime example of that color example that I just gave earlier, where you see something that is going to be valuable to the society, something that's going to be essential to the society. Like, for example, you say, I know that there's a new color, the color is called samba, and this color is very valuable to the society because so and so. But you see, if you're not being asked or invited to speak, it can sound like you are a little bit of a know-it-all with this channel. And when you sound like you know things, right, this can immediately make you sound a little bit arrogant, or make people feel like, yeah, they're a bit of a know-it-all, I'm not really gonna listen. Or it can just sound really freaky. A new color? What are you talking about? That's super weird. But if people are aware that, there's something missing, there's a color missing in the world, and if we can find this missing color, it's going to add a lot of value. They come to you and they say, do you know if there's a new color? And you say, yes, I know there's a new color, it's called samba, it's going to be useful in this way. You break it down, you explain it step by step in an understandable way, simplify your knowing, simplify your insight. Oh, wow, okay, I can see now how this new color samba is going to be useful for the world. And that's how this channel works. So the next channel we're going to talk about is the 1762. This is called the channel of acceptance. It's an Aries Cancer channel. The 17 being the Aries, the 62 being the Cancer. And this channel is about bringing new awareness to the logical process. So it starts off first by formulating a hypothesis or a question, a bit like a scientist. And then through this hypothesis, logically formulating an answer to the hypothesis with proof. So this is if you're not being asked or invited to speak with this particular channel, and even though you may have proof of it, but you're not being asked, the society tends to perceive the person who speaks from this channel as being opinionated, having very strong, highly opinionated things to say. That is not objective. That is not based on proof, even though it may be, but the way that, if you're not being invited, people tend to perceive it that way. So it's a channel of we go back to the example of the color, the new color that can be found in the world. You have the ability to say that I've tested this hypothesis out, that there should be a new color, because if there's a new color, it can fill in this empty gap in the world. I've tested it out. There really is a new color. Here's my logical process. You need to be able to guide people through that logical process. But if you can't, it's going to sound like you're opinionated, like you are coming from a place of subjectivity and of some kind of need to like feed your own ego a little bit. The need to be right, for example. So therefore, that's why, you know, this particular gate, a channel, needs to be invited in order to speak and to manifest. And the last channel from the Ajna to the throat is going to be the 1156. This is a Sagittarius Leo Cancer cusp channel, and it's called the channel of curiosity. It's about seeking to understand the human collective experience. And so, when you have an awareness about the human collective experience, like when you can be aware of like human behavior, cultural behavior, religious customs of the past and how that's affected the present day, and you're trying to communicate or share this wisdom to other people without first being asked, it can make you sound like you're a bit of a fanatic, like you're trying to dominate, you know, people's belief systems. And, you know, the society can be a little bit defensive about their beliefs because beliefs are linked to emotions. And so these philosophies that you discover, right, they're very useful for the society because it can help guide people into like how to better progress the society in the future based on, you know, the philosophies that you have formed with regards to the patterns that you're seeing in the collective. But of course, like I said, it was not being invited, then it can sound like you're trying to convert people into particular belief systems, or, you know, you're a bit of a fanatic. So yeah, that's why this channel has to be invited. So now let's talk about the connection from the spleen to the throat. The spleen is also another awareness center. So again, with the spleen, you're bringing something new into the world. But this awareness of the spleen has to do with how to be aware of your intuition so that you can use the intuition for survival, for safety, for health, and for well-being. The first channel is going to be the 1648, the 16 being a Gemini gate, the 48 being Libra. So this is a highly like air channel. It's called the channel of the wavelength. It is somebody who is here to express their intuition through their talents, intuitively using your talents in a very beautiful way. You know, the 16 is the gate of skills, 48 is talent. You have both talent and skill with this one, but you have to master it. So if you're sharing something without first being invited and without having first mastered your talents and skills, you know, the gate 16 is the gate of enthusiasm. You can speak very enthusiastically, get people, you know, to gather an audience there with you, and the audience is feeling this energy, this excitement about what you're gonna say or what kind of talents or performance you're gonna give. But then if you haven't mastered this particular talent, it can lead to disappointment. So people are going to be there, they're expecting a lot because you have an energetic, enthusiastic way of speaking. So they're pumped up, you know, they're waiting, they're pumped up. They're there, and then they're like, oh, I was expecting that this person would be a mastery in this particular field, but what are they? No, they're not. They're just on the surface level. They sound a little bit superficial. They sound a little bit silly. People can have this perception of you if you haven't yet gotten very deep to master your skills. And again, if you're not being invited, it can again make you sound a little bit like childish or silly or superficial, because people may not be ready to go very deeply with you in your skills. Even if you have mastered it, but you're not being invited, people may not be ready for that. And when people are, you know, not yet ready to dive very deep with you, the things that you say that are very deep, that are, you know, coming from your deepest talents, they're coming out from a voice of enthusiasm. So it can make people feel like they don't trust it, they don't quite believe in it, and so on and so forth. I hope that kind of made sense. With regards to the human psychology, you know, people will perceive it that way. Therefore, that's why this particular channel has to be invited. Okay, so the next channel is the 2057. This is also a Gemini, gate 2057 Libra channel. It's called the channel of the brainwave. This is a really interesting one. This particular channel has the ability to empower others to be intelligent, how to use your intelligence for health, well-being. It has an intuitive clarity about health and well-being. And this particular channel is like, you know, it's like a professor who walks into a classroom and, you know, if you haven't been invited, because there's no energy connected here, you can come into the classroom, you write a bunch of formulas on the board, and it's an amazing formula. It can save the world. But the students sitting there and they're going like, teacher, I don't understand. Because they haven't invited you to empower them in their intelligence. So in this case, instead of being able to guide other people in their intelligence, you've actually disempowered them, making them feel like they're not smart or making them feel like they're not intelligent, right? Because if the professor is writing a bunch of formulas on the board and the student is not ready, the student can feel like they're not smart because they can't follow up with their professor's brainwave. So, however, if, for example, you know, the student says, teacher, I'd like to really learn this, I'd like to be smarter. And the teacher slowly writes the formula, you know, you slowly speak, for example, intuitively in the present moment, you allow your words to come out intuitively as you go along with the student, and you're in this great energetic synchronicity. You begin to write the formula, and the student goes, okay, I see, this is what's happening. Yes, this equals this plus this equals this. Wow, I can't believe I understand this very complex formula. I feel smarter. You've empowered them in their intelligence. That's what this particular channel has the ability to do, but it has to go slowly. It has to take time and has to be invited by others and spoken in the moment as you go along with that other person. Hope that kind of made sense. Okay, so that is if you are a projector with a defined throat. You need to be able to find some kind of platform to display these gifts, because these gifts are directly coming to the throat. They're right there, but of course you don't have the energy. So a platform like an online platform or a community, a group of people of like minds, maybe it's in a company that you work with that you can find a platform to display these gifts and talents. They will definitely be recognized. People are going to see the depth that you have. But also, you know, you have to be able to understand how to use these channels with depth. That's what a projector energy is here to do, is to penetrate very deeply into something. So spend a lot of time absorbed in that channel. Have fun while you're doing it. Find joy while you're doing it. Experiment while you're working to master that particular channel. And I guarantee you, you will have the invitation. If you have it on a platform, of course. You have to have a platform to display your creativity and your ideas. And if you're a projector with an undefined throat, this is a little bit challenging, because manifestation for you, and even with the way that you communicate, it's not going to be consistent. But there's so much beauty in this, because the way that you manifest can happen unexpectedly for you, and there's not going to be one consistent way of doing it, meaning that you're gonna have to be open to the experiences that happen into your life and be aware of opportunities that are popping up for you, and then, you know, seeing if you would like to take on those particular opportunities or not. But also, when it comes to communication, when you have an undefined throat, of course, you know, you're not gonna have a consistent way of speaking or of communicating your ideas, and that can sometimes make you feel uncertain or not being heard or not being listened to. And if you overcompromise for that by talking too much, that's just not conducive, because that's not really going to make people want to listen to you simply because you speak more. Right timing of speaking is going to be crucial. And you know, a lot of open throat people are very great singers and great speakers. Lady Gaga has an open throat. She's not a projector, but she does have an open throat. She has a beautiful voice. She's a great singer, right? So, but in order for you to master the throat, you may have to learn. You may have to take classes, go to workshops, in order to gain wisdom and to master that. And you can, because you're so open to receiving the teachings, the lessons that will come into your life with regards to communication and manifestation. You know, my mom has an open throat, by the way. She's not a projector, but she does have an open throat, and she is a great singer. She has a beautiful voice. She's part of this community where she's the lead singer in that particular community, and her songs inspire and empower those in the community. She's also the spokesperson for the community. She's like on stage whenever there's a big event, and she's like entertaining and speaking in front of everybody, and she has an open throat. But of course, she wasn't always this way. She used to be, like, when she was younger, somebody who speaks a lot and nobody really listens, but then she learned over time how to speak with the right timing, how to work with your throat. So there's a lot of beautiful things that comes from having an open throat. But also, if you have an open throat, you still have some channels in your human design body graph. Whatever that channel is, whether it's a channel from the emotional solar plexus to the root, whether it's from the crown to the ajna, whether it's from the spleen to the root as a projector, right? Master that channel as well. Spend time being absorbed in that channel. Spend time loving and having fun with what that channel can bring into you. Do a bit of research on what those particular channels are. And when you have an open throat, finding the right type of people to work with is going to be very important. Your life is about coordination and networking. Finding people who have a defined throat. Finding people who have a defined throat in a particular gate that can easily connect to a hanging gate in your body graph is going to be important. Those people are going to be drawn to you like a magnet. When people who have an open throat and there's something hanging from the throat, right? They're trying to meet you where you're hanging in your hanging gates. And if you can display your gifts and people can recognize your gifts, they're going to be drawn to make the two hanging gates connect energetically. So for example, if you have, let's say, gate 36 from the emotional solar plexus, and the gate 36 is trying to make its way to gate 35, but it's not, and so you have an open throat because of that. And you meet somebody, a client, a friend, who have a gate 35 active, whether their throat is opened or it's defined. The gate 35 is hanging, and you have gate 36 that's trying to make its way up. Those people are going to be drawn to the gifts that you're displaying with regards to gate 36, or any gifts that any channels that you're trying to put out there on a platform. They'll see those channels, but they'll also see that hanging gate, and they're going to be drawn to connect with you. And this is just beautiful. And you guys can make things happen in the world together. That's what happens. So that's with regards to the throat. Now, as a projector, the next step when you do get an invitation, after doing all the things that I mentioned earlier, once you do get an invitation, now you have to use your authority to see if you would like to accept this invitation or not. You can say yes, you can say no. Your authority is going to tell you. So you're going to either be an emotional projector, you're going to either be a splenic projector. So the spleen is going to be your authority. If you're an emotional projector, the solar plexus is going to be your authority. You can be an ego projected projector, which means the will center is your authority. Self-projected, so the self or the G center is your authority. Or you can be a mental projector as well. Whatever your authority is, like if you can do a little bit of research on that, and I might make a video in the near or far future about different authorities, but get acquainted with how to use that energy to make decisions. And your decisions are going to be whether to accept certain big life-changing invitations or not. Sometimes you get an invitation and you have to say no. Sometimes you get an invitation and you have to say yes. Your authority will tell you. So yes, beautiful souls, I think that's going to be it for this video. I hope that it was kind of useful with regards to how to manifest as a projector. So do comment below if you are a projector, what's been your experience with the throat, your authority, manifestation. And if you like this video, do give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button below if you haven't. My website is currently down because I'm upgrading my services, and it'll be back up in October this year. So stay tuned for that. for readings. So yes, give it a like, a thumbs up if you like this video, and I'll see you soon, beautiful souls. Bye!